here we go. Oh, it really actually works. I'm amazed. Look at that. Take two. Hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ponderosa Garden Adventures. Today I am back in the kitchen and I'm going to be making apple strudel, a Bavarian delight that is a pastry filled with fruit, baked, and you're probably familiar with it. Well, I just got back from a trip to Budapest, Hungary, where I visited a place called the Strudel House. They give you a demonstration of how to make an apple strudel. So I'm going to use the method I saw to make an apple strudel here, using apples from our garden. I'm going to be using apples from my garden. We have an apple tree. It's called a salad tree. It has 5 different kinds of apples. Today I think we have just 2. I think we have Anna's and it's a golden Dorset. But we also have Einsheimer, Fuji, and another one, which I can't think of. It's hard when there's 5. This should be enough. This is a couple pounds. This might actually be more than enough, but we have plenty more in case I run out. So we're going to need apples. You're going to need a lemon. And of course you're going to need a pastry. Now I'm going to use a store-bought pastry because I'm just not feeling up for making a pastry, making a puff pastry by hand. It's a lot of work. Save a lot of time doing it this way. But keep it refrigerated until you're ready to use it. You don't want to let that get up to room temperature. It's going to just be a big sticky mess. I've got a mixture of sugar, flour, and cinnamon. About 3 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. But I go crazy on the cinnamon because I love cinnamon. And basically what we're going to do is pretty much the same way you would make an apple pie. If you've ever made apple pie, you cut up the apples, you sprinkle on some sugar, some cinnamon, and usually with apple pies I'll use cornstarch, but either way. And that's pretty much it. We'll need a little vegetable oil. They recommended sunflower oil, but this is just regular cooking oil, so I'm going to use that for the first one. I'm going to try to make 2, and the first one I'm going to make exactly the way that they did at the Strudel House. Then they said there's some add-ons you can do, like you can add some raisins to the filling if you want to add a little bit more flavor in there. I'm going to try using melted butter instead of the oil to make it a little more richer, more ooh, you know. And then you can use an egg on the top to glaze the top, and then sprinkle a little bit of like the unrefined sugar as a confection. And so that'll make it a little bit more how us in the United States are used to strudel. You can even make a icing, a glaze or something to pour on it with vanilla, some dairy, and confectioner sugar. I'm going to leave that off. We're just going to leave the icing off and just leave it just as it is. It's supposed to be not a super sweet confection. It's supposed to be kind of more of a hearty, like, you know, after a hard day's work, you know, have dinner and then a nice big strudel. Top it off. All right. Oh, one other thing you're going to need is also just some extra flour to flour your cutting board. Now, when we get ready to make the strudel, you're going to want the biggest cutting board you can find, a really good rolling pin. Let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to use the lemon to put on the apple as we cut them up so that it doesn't turn brown. just 50 milliliters of lemon juice. That should be plenty. I can do one here on the these golden Dorset have a real nice flavor, kind of delicate like a pear. Lemon juice as quickly as possible. So we're just going to cut out the seed part, cut around that little core. And again, I am trying to cut quickly because this one is oxidizing. It's turning brown very quickly. Ultra thin slices. Now you don't want any peel in there. I love working with apple. It cuts so easily. You just don't want to mince it, but just get it kind of finely chopped in this sauce. So it looks like it'll be one strudel. We need about 4 of these apples. All right. And we're just gonna, so let's sprinkle this on. That looks really good. All right, well, welcome back on to part 2. Now is a good time to turn on the stove, 325 Fahrenheit. And now I'm going to take this package of store-bought puff pastry out. It should be thawed, but still chill. If it's still frozen, just leave it sitting out for half an hour, it'll be fine. Okay, I'm going to use both of these, so I'm going to set these aside in just a second. I'm going to use the method I saw in Budapest. I'm going to call it the Budapest method. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to spread out the pastry and then just use this to go like this. And it should just roll right up. Think it's going to work? We'll see. A little bit. Not much. Don't overdo it. Here. I might be permanently ruining. Now I'm going to just a little more flour on there. That's great. Now take one of the sheets of pastry. Take one sheet of pastry. See if I can. And in Budapest method, we stretch it by hand instead of with a rolling pin. Oh, it's working though. Look at that. Start in the middle. Let's stretch it this way. Oh yeah. Let's close those up. Close that gap. And close that. And I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to thin it out. Just close those gaps up. Get it. There we go. So next one I'm going to use the rolling pin, just get it over with. Next we're going to put on the filling. I think I have just enough filling. So we're going to just put the filling just along one edge here. And this will actually make a couple of strudels. Maybe 4. Okay, don't want to overdo it. So I'm just going to leave it there. And we just kind of freely drizzle. Maybe take it back with a spoon. That's just to keep the layers from sticking together. And now, this right, it gets tricky. It's gonna work. Here we go. Oh, it's working. Oh shoot! It really actually works. I'm amazed. Look at that. All right. And now, I have a baking sheet with a sheet of parchment on it. I'm just gonna slide this right on there. Oh, like that. We're gonna tuck that under like that. Tuck that under like that. Back over here. On to phase 3. Now I'm gonna make an apple strudel the way I would make it. All of these ingredients and all these methods were approved by the strudel guy in Budapest. So I'm going to add golden raisins, not the dark ones, golden raisins. I whipped an egg, and once it's rolled up, I'm going to spread that on top. Sprinkle a little bit of the granulated sugar, and I'm also going to use butter. So I'm going to melt this real quick. More experience than I have as a baker at this point. Yeah, so that would be I'm going to start with the short one here. Yeah, this is a lot easier with a rolling pin. So we're going to layer it this way this time. Here, let's get the apple on. Looking good. I think it had just enough. I had to cut up 2 or 3 more apples during the break. Now we're using golden raisins here. Sprinkle those on top. I'm just going to drizzle butter back and forth. Cinnamon and sugar. There's a little powder in there. A little flour in there too. And now, again, I'm gonna pull that up. Okay, coming right up. And I need a little bit of help. Getting started. There we go. We're rolling. Or let's tuck that in just like we're making a burrito. Uh-oh, sticking a little bit there. And that is what I'll put this on here. I whipped up 1 egg, and then I'm going to use a pastry. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm just spreading, this is a whole egg, turbinado sugar. Something sweet on top. I preheated the oven to 325. We're going to put it in there for about half an hour, I think 35 minutes. Alright, and we are done. You don't want to see me clean up this mess, so I'll be back when it's time to take the strudel out of the oven. So I just remembered the recipe told me I was supposed to... That'll do. And this one. Let me grab a... And it happened, and we get a rupture. So... Hi. Well, it is Sunday morning and I am ready to try my strudel. I have a fresh cup of good coffee, and over here on your left, on my right, is what I call the Budapest style where I did exactly like I saw the demonstration in Budapest. Nothing fancy, no frills, just apples and pastry. This one I'll call the American style, where I put some glaze on top, I roll it a little tighter, and I put some raisins on the inside. Let's try them and see the difference. Right off the bat, visually, of course, I like the one on your right, over here on my left, a little better. It's a little more consistent, brown. It's got a glaze on top. The filling looks nice and consistent. This one is flakier because I put oil between the layers and I didn't put anything on top to hold it together. So you can see it's flaking and doesn't look quite as neat as this one. Let's try the Budapest. Good. The dough, I think, is a little undercooked. You see the dough on the inside. Could have gone a little longer. It's good though, delicious. Good apple taste. Not too tart, not too sweet. Tastes like just a really good apple pie. Now, this one I made with butter instead of oil. I put golden raisins in, and I put egg and sugar on the top as a glaze. Perfect. The crust is perfect. The filling is perfect. There's more filling. I should put more filling on this one. This is the winner by far. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this delicious episode of Ponderosa Garden Adventures. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I know. Takes a little practice, I think.
Oh, you've done a few of them. You're not new.
You can read. So it's made, it's the bread made from bread. The apple in Hungary, we don't cook the apple. So it's a fresh apple that you use.
Fresh apple.
Yes. Sunflower oil. Sunflower oil.